Hi there. It's Carol Doherty, and I am a chemie who left engineering and became a trainer and then a coach. The exciting thing about that is I get to now work with women in STEM who want to build their careers and get the respect they deserve. So that is what I'm focusing on pretty much exclusively right now. Today, I want to talk about the three biggest questions I get around career plans from women in STEM. And the reason why this is such a hot topic for me right now is first, it's come up a lot over this summer. So my clients right now I'm working with are all dealing with they're kind of figuring out their next career step. What's next for them and figuring out what does that look like and how do they get there and shaping that plan. And I've had a lot of other questions about it. Also, we're coming up on October, and what I'm hearing is there's a lot of performance review periods that come up at the end of the year. I know that was true for many of my positions. Sorry. And so I wanted to do this now because I'm a big believer that part of performance reviews should be talking about what's next. Where does somebody want to go? So I'm really into this topic. I was held back. I had a boss named John, and I would go to him and say, "Hey, I'm really interested in this position that's been posted internally." Or at my performance review, I'd say, "Okay, so what's next?" And he would be, "Carol, you have great potential, but I need you to stay here for the next year because of this big project." Yay. And then the next year, and okay, fine. And then the next year, the question that I got, so I asked, came up again. And the next year, he said, "Well, okay, but there's this big project. You have potential." So he did this to me like 3 years in a row. "You have great potential, but" he wasn't interested in my career. He was interested in his. And if I left, I was going to be hard to backfill because niche. I'm a chemical engineer, niche. We were a company of mechanical and electrical engineers. So there wasn't people who were going to be able to backfill me. So he didn't want to let me go. I got around that. I transferred factories. And when I went to my new factory, I told them, "Okay, great. I'm willing to start in this new position because then I didn't have to learn so much. But I don't want to stay here." And they're like, "Okay, we get that." And they lived up to their word. My career took off while I was there. You'll hear more about that. But this is why I'm really passionate. If you have questions or comments, please type them in. If you're following me on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, you let StreamYard track your comments, and then I'll see them. If you're on Instagram, type them in. Donna Lynn, I am so glad you're here. It was so awesome seeing your smiling face earlier today. I'm so happy that you're getting into what's next for you. So the first question when I talk career plans with people, particularly women in STEM, they're like, "But I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So what do I do?" Okay. First, I'm a big believer in growing older is required, growing up is optional. My older brother told me that. One of my bosses was not particularly amused by it. He didn't disagree with the sentiment. He didn't like that as the answer when he asked me, "So what do you want to be when you grow up?" Um, you might not know where you want to end your career. That's okay. I could never have predicted when I got my engineering degree that down the road, I would be sitting here live streaming, talking about career plans as a career coach. Not in my wildest dreams. I had no idea this was even possible. So it's okay to not know where you're going to end. Let's talk about what's next. To me, careers are kind of like car trips. I happen to know where Donna Lynn is. She's on the opposite coast from me. I'm in Arizona. She's up in New England. And if I were to make a road trip out to see her, yeah, I might know my general destination is, Massachusetts or New England, particularly in the fall, right? So go see New England. But my biggest concern would be, where am I stopping next? Where am I going to go have dinner? Where am I going to get fuel? Where am I going to get lunch? Where am I going to spend the night? In a road trip, you're worried about, where you're going to get to, but you're curious about your next step, your next stop. To me, careers are that same way. What's next? Because doors open up that you didn't see. You had no idea that they were going to be there. When I got my chemical engineering degree, I thought I was going to go into environmental engineering and help protect the environment, so on and so forth. I went to work for the Department of the Navy first, and it was a manufacturing type function, and then went into other manufacturing roles. I didn't see that coming. I didn't even know that was possible. So you don't know where you're going to land, and you don't know what's next. So be open. Don't worry about it. Let's explore what's next. In fact, I'm introducing a new program. It's a workshop, 4-week workshop to help build career plans. So it's called the Next Career Move Workshop. And it's all about planning out that next step. The first portion of that is creating that vision. Where do you want to go next? So don't worry about where the end of the road is. Worry about what's next, because there's all kinds of possibilities that could come up. The world is changing so fast. It's hard to say what's going to happen. So it would be awesome to just let it play out. So figure out what's next. Where do you want to go? What's interesting? The next question, I got this one yesterday, most recently, was what if I'm interested in a lot of different things? How do I pick? You know what? If you're interested in a lot of different things, that's amazing. And good for you, because then you have all kinds of possibilities. You can go all different directions, and the sky's the limit for you. So that's a great thing, from my opinion. Now, figuring out which one it is, it's kind of first world problems where you go to the store and you have 14 different options. Which one do you get? I would tell you that there's probably one or two things that just keep pulling at you, keep tugging you. If you're letting your mind be quiet, something about one of those just comes into your head. If you start thinking about, I wonder what's possible, there's going to be one idea or two ideas that come up first. Pay attention to those. Let's explore those, because they're the ones that are pulling you the most. There will always be safe options. If I stay where I am and grow into that next step at this company, that's a safe move. I know where I am. I know what my options are. I know what the benefits. I know what the pay scale is. The safe thing, and that might be the right step for you. I'm not saying it isn't, but if you have a lot of different interests and you keep getting pulled away from where you are, listen to it. See what happens. There might be some great opportunities out there. Now, it may be that you need to stay where you are for a while because that's safe. And there's good reasons for that. I know when my kids were really little, I played it safe some for legitimate reasons. I had kids with health issues, and I had phenomenal benefits. So because we were dealing with so many health issues with both of my kids, it was safer and easier to stay where I was. And they were actually giving me some opportunities. So they let me play around within the walls of that organization. So it was a safe risk, a safe move, but it worked for me. I made it work for me. And, as Donna Lynn was saying, risk is scary, but it's worth it. So sometimes it's worth it. Good friend of mine that worked there, she had an opportunity to go overseas for the company, big multinational company, and she jumped on it. I was asked, would you consider it? And I was like, no, I don't know that I could make that work for me. But my situation was different than hers. She went with it. sky's been the limit for her. She is doing phenomenal since making that change, and doing that in the growth in her career has been mind-blowing to me. So what works? What's pulling at you? What's interesting? Go for it. Evaluate it and see how you can make that work, because it might be the right thing for you. And again, that's going to be part of my new program is what's holding you back? What are the roadblocks and what are your strengths? How can you get yourself there? And sometimes we get in our own way. It's like, oh no, that's scary. I've moved back and forth across the country. I started my career in Virginia. I've worked in Iowa, Illinois, Nevada, and now I'm in Arizona. So we keep moving around. And sometimes it took kind of a leap of faith that we could make it work. And we did. And I love where I'm at, and I wouldn't trade my journey for most anything in the world. So the last question that I get all the time is, what do I do if my boss or my company won't help me grow? You know what? I've been in that situation. It's help yourself. The last corporate job I had, we had career conversations. The company was set up to talk to people about where do you want to go next. So I talked to my boss about what I'd like to see happen next. And he basically said, yeah, not happening. Company will not support that. There's no way the organization will let you grow in that direction. Gee, and they wonder why I started checking out. There were other things going on, but that really is disheartening. So it was, okay, so Carol, what is it you want to do? Let's start making it happen for you. And so you have to make it for yourself. Like when John kept blocking me, an opportunity came up for me to move. So I took it. And you know what? That's what you need to do sometimes, is just go for it. Do it, see what happens. And so start making plans for yourself, because your boss may only be in it for himself. Become vocal about what you want to do. Like I said, I moved factories and I said, okay, I'll finish this big project, because it totally made sense and I was committed to it. I was really into the project. But after that, I don't want to stay here. And again, Chemie in a world of mechanical and electrical engineers. So there was no other Chemie at the factory. So I had to, kind of wait for them to get things going. But I wasn't quiet the whole time. I explored options and I met everybody in the factory. I think there are about 1,200 people at that factory, and I feel like I knew all of them. But I became friends with a lady in supply management, and we were talking, and she knew I kind of wanted to go do something else. And so she's like, oh, you should come over here. And she talked to her boss. And Jack stopped me one day and said, so when are you going to come on over? Well, Jack, when they backfill me. And I don't know if he started putting pressure on, come on, get her backfilled. She wants to do something else. She would be great here. Ultimately, I went to supply management, not in Jack's world exactly, but one of his peers became my grand boss, called me up and said, hey, Carol, we have this opportunity for you to join Tom's team. So I ended up working under Craig, and he opened so many doors for me, but I was vocal about it. And so that let me talk to people and start networking and connect with people and start building some of the skills needed to move. So if your boss and your company won't let you move, that's great. That's on them, but we can't necessarily let them hold us back. So make a chance for yourself, become vocal, start building the skills, and start looking for it. Sorry, I'm reading Donalyn's comment. There's a way forward even when it doesn't feel like it. So sometimes you may have to wait and figure it out, but start looking. You don't have to sit passively waiting for the company to give you your career. I had an employee that worked for me when I became a supervisor. He said he wanted to do something different, And I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? And he said, XYZ. I said, okay, great. Here's some people you can talk to see what that's like. And there's a job opening. Talk to Bill. And then if you're interested, apply. I'll support it. He wouldn't take action. He wanted me to make it happen for him because he had been taught in his career that you wait until you're given your next assignment. Well, no, I didn't become his boss because I waited for the next assignment. I was vocal. I was active. And this was in an organization where they asked us to plan our career from where we were to retirement, which for me at the time was 25 years. And okay, I did the exercise and it went off the rails immediately. Within a year, I was actually on a slightly different trajectory and going way faster than expected. But it was because I said, here's where I see myself going. And then they started working with me to get there. But you have to take action. It's your career. It doesn't belong to the company. It doesn't belong to your boss. It's yours. Take control of it, take ownership of it, and you can do amazing things. So, as I said, I've rolled out this new workshop, 4 weeks, 4 live sessions where we'll be talking about the different aspects, vision, roadblocks, skills, and then creating the plan. And so there will be some me giving you information about the topic, and then we're going to workshop it. We're going to start working on it for you. And I'm throwing in a one-on-one 50-minute session with me to talk about your unique situation. It will be all in the month of October, so that as the year end comes up, you're ready to talk about where you want to go next. You can bring it to your boss, or you can start looking. There's so much movement going on in industry right now. So let's get you ready. Where do you want to go? Let's figure that out. You can learn more about it at www.nextcareermove.me. So www.nextcareermove.me. Check it out. I'd love to see you. I'm going to keep the cohort kind of small so that I can really spend time helping you. And I'm looking to do it for about 20 people. The doors will be closing early next week. So I hope to see you there. And I hope you've learned something about the 3 questions that I hear so often. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. How do I make a plan? Pick your next spot. Don't worry about the end game. Worry about what's next and open the doors for the future. What if I'm interested in all of these, all these different things? How do I pick? Pick one. What's most interesting? What works for you? Let's figure out what works for you next and go from there. And then what do I do if my boss won't help me? You know what? Take charge. Let's just take charge, get into it, and go from there. So those are the 3 questions I hear the most often. And if you have other questions, go ahead and type them in. Hi, Kimberly. I'm glad you are here. And thanks for that. It's really fun. It's something I'm very passionate about, if you haven't guessed. I really hate seeing people sit and wait. And I think too often women, particularly women in STEM, because it's so male dominated, and we're taught we need to be nice, we need to be polite. My generation was taught you go along to get along. Well, that doesn't necessarily serve you, it serves them. So let's start taking charge of what's next for us and creating our next step. So I hope to see you in my group, my program. You can check it out, www.nextcareermove.me. If there aren't any questions, and I'm happy to answer them, you can type them in. I'm going to take a sip and see if there's any questions. All right. I don't see any questions coming. You can reach out to me on any of the platforms that I'm on. just Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. Reach out to me. Let me know what's going on, what your questions are. I hope to see you around. Have a fantastic day or evening, and been great talking to you.